Hi, welcome to EPG Pathshala Spanish. I'm Rajiv Saxena and I teach Spanish in the Center of Spanish, Portuguese, Italian and Latin American Studies in the Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. We are learning in the paper Intermediate Grammar of Spanish, and in this module we will be looking at the verb chart number 2, which is dealing with the irregular verbs. We have already done the regular verbs and how they are conjugated, and the objective of this module is just like the previous module, that you will learn the conjugations of some of the important Spanish verbs in this module. But unlike the previous one, the verbs given over here are irregular in nature. So remember, in the previous module we had done verbs which were regular verbs in Spanish, and in this module we are going to be talking about verbs which are irregular verbs, which are classified as irregular verbs in Spanish. However, you will note that once you learn them up and you remember, then it becomes easy and you can easily switch between regular and irregular verbs, because once you know the conjugation, then it becomes very easy and you don't even pay attention whether it is a regular verb or an irregular verb. So this is how easy and simple and fun Spanish is. The following verbs that we're going to be talking about, the third person pronouns, singular and plural, are Elia and Elios. But you already know that there can be El, Elia and usted for singular, and Elios, Elias, ustedes for the plural pronouns in the same place. So, keeping this in mind, we should have a printout of all these grammatical exercises and these tenses and how they're being conjugated, so that it helps us to become a key and we can learn up our Spanish conjugations easily. The Spanish verbs are a complex area of Spanish grammar with many combinations of tenses, aspects and moods. There is up to 50 conjugated forms per verb. Although conjugation rules are relatively straightforward, a large number of verbs are irregular. So we have to keep all these things in mind. But once you memorize it, it becomes very simple and you don't even feel that this is a very difficult thing to learn. So, due to the rules of Spanish orthography, some predictable changes are needed to keep the same consonant sound before a, o and a, e. So, due to the rules of Spanish orthography, there are changes which are needed to be done to keep the same consonant sound before a or o and a and e. This isn't usually considered as an irregularity. The following examples that we're going to be talking about use the first person plural of the present subjunctive. For example, the C turning into ku. So tocar becomes toquemos. Z turning into se. Gozar becomes gocemos. Or vencer becomes venzamos. So in the same sense, these are predictable changes which are required to maintain the sound or structure of the verb. Other predictable changes involve stress marks, E and E change and E dropping, some of which are considered as irregularities. The examples that we're going to be talking about of several forms of otherwise regular preterites. For example, a stress mark on stressed E after A or O. So caer becomes caímos with an accent on I. Leer becomes leímos with an accent on I. Oír becomes oímos with an accent on I again. And these are predictable changes, and we are putting these stress marks to maintain the sound structure of the verb, and that is the only reason. These are not considered as irregularities. Another thing that should be kept in mind is that there are two kinds of changes that can affect stem vowels of some Spanish verbs: the diphthongization and vowel raising. Both changes affect a or o in the last or only syllable of a verb stem. Diphthongization changes like a to ea and o to ua are there to for maintaining the diphthongization and vowel raising of the verbs. The vowel raising changing the mid vowels A and O to the corresponding high vowels E and O respectively. So I repeat, the vowel raising changes the mid vowels A and O to the corresponding high vowels E and O respectively. Some verbs in their various forms can exhibit both kinds of changes. So, some verbs have both the kinds of changes which is there in their conjugation. So, sentir becomes siente or sintio with an accent on O. Dormir becomes duerme and durmió with an accent on O. Some verbs with A or O in their stem are inherently diphthongizing, whereas others are not. Their identities must be learned individually. So, you have to learn individually the identities of some verbs with A or O with their stem which are independently diphthongizing. In a diphthongizing verb, the change turns A into EA and O into UA when the syllable in question is stressed, which in effect happens only in the singular persons and third person plural of the present indicative and present subjunctive and also in the imperative. I repeat, this change in the syllable in question when it is stressed happens only in the singular persons and third person plural of the present indicative, present subjunctive and imperative. So, imperative, present subjunctive and present indicative have the stress syllable which happens in the verb formation. The word initial position IE is written EA, errar becomes hierro, and UA is written as UE. Oler becomes ULE with an H que no se pronuncia HUL. Also, the UA diphthong is written as umlaut UA after G with the diathesis to indicate that the letter is not silent. Avergonzarse me avergüenzo, or for example, linguística. Vowel raising are only in verbs of the third conjugation or the IR ending verbs, and in this group it affects only verbs like dormir, morir, podrir, or alternative for the more common pudrir, and nearly all verbs which have A as the last stem vowel, for example, sentir, repetir. What are the exceptions which are there in this case? These exceptions include cernir, discernir, and concernir, and all the three are diphthongizing. The forms that exhibit the change can be described negatively, and those in which the stem vowel is not diphthongized and the ending does not contain stressed E or the IR sequence. In another word, vowels raising affects the forms which endings do not contain an I, which is not a part of a diphthong, taking into account that diphthongizing overrides the vowel raising. So, the stem vowel is not diphthongized and the ending does not contain stress E or the IR sequence. So, this we have to remember and memorize. So let us now go into the conjugation of some of these important verbs which are the irregular verbs in the present tense. So a verb like contener is irregular and it means to contain. Contener. Yo contengo. Tú contienes. Él, ella, usted contiene. Nosotros contenemos. Vosotros contenéis. And ellos, ellas, and ustedes contienen. So, contener, the conjugation in the present tense is contengo, contienes, contiene, Contenemos, contenéis, and contiene. This is the same as tener, the verb tener, which is to have. Yo tengo, tú tienes, él, ella, usted tiene, nosotros tenemos, vosotros, vosotras tenéis, and ellos, ellas, ustedes tienen. So the same conjugation is like for contener. Contengo, contienes, contiene, contenemos, contenéis, and contienen. It is as simple as that. So another example that we would like to take up is the example of decir, to say. So it is digo, dices, dice, decimos, decís, and dicen. Yo digo, tú dices, él, ella, usted dice, nosotros decimos, vosotros decís, and ellos, ellas, ustedes dicen. So the conjugation is very simple. Yo digo, tú dices, él, ella, usted dice, nosotros decimos, vosotros decís, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes dicen. Another important verb, which is an irregular verb and has to be learned by heart because it is an important verb, is estar, which is to be. Yo estoy, tú estás, él, ella, usted está, nosotros estamos, vosotros o vosotras estáis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes están. Please be very careful. Estar is a very important verb, and in all the verb conjugations, this is an irregular verb. So please learn this, memorize it by heart because this is an important verb. Estar, to be. Estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, and están. Yo estoy, tú estás, él, ella, usted está, nosotros estamos, vosotros o vosotras estáis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes están. Another important verb which is also irregular in Spanish, unfortunately in all the tenses, is ir, which is to go, and the conjugation is as follows. Yo voy, tú vas, él, ella, usted va, nosotros vamos, vosotros vais, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes van. So ir, to go, is conjugated as voy, vas, va, vamos, vais, and van. It is very simple because once you memorize it, like me, you will be speaking it without even thinking. Voy, vas, va, vamos, vais, and van. Another important verb which is also irregular is mantener, which is to maintain. However, now that we know how tener is conjugated, all we have to do is to put man and then you use the conjugated form of tener. So it is mantengo, mantienes, mantiene, mantenemos, mantenéis, and mantienen, like contener. So it is yo mantengo, tú mantienes, él, ella, usted mantiene, nosotros mantenemos, vosotros o vosotras mantenéis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes mantienen. Mantengo, mantienes, mantiene, mantenemos, mantenéis, mantienen. Contengo, contienes, contiene, contenemos, contienes, and contienen. Tengo, tienes, tiene, tenemos, tenéis, and tienen. So it is as simple as that. Once you learn tener, you get at least 2-3 verbs which you can conjugate in the same manner. Oír is also another important verb which is also irregular in Spanish, unfortunately. So oír is conjugated as oír. To hear is oigo, oyes, oye, oímos, oís, and oyen. Yo oigo, tú oyes, él, ella, usted oye, nosotros oímos, vosotros, vosotras oís, or ellos, ellas, ustedes oyen. Another important verb which is prevenir is also irregular, but like in tener, if you know the conjugation of venir, then you know the conjugation of prevenir also. So the prevenir conjugation is like venir. Yo prevengo, tú previenes, él, ella, usted previene, nosotros prevenimos, vosotros prevenéis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes previenen. It is prevengo, previenes, previene, prevenimos, prevenís, and previenen. Another verb which is very important in Spanish and which is also irregular is estar, which, like ser, is also irregular. So ser and estar both have to be learnt and they have to be memorized by heart. So like estar, ser is also irregular and both ser and estar mean to be. You know the differences. In the intermediate grammar we'll be talking about it, and also in the advanced grammar we'll be talking about the differences between ser and estar, which both mean to be but are diffused in different contexts. So the conjugation of ser, let us firstly learn that, which is important. Of estar, it is estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, están, and of ser it is soy, eres, es, somos, sois, and son. I repeat, yo soy, tú eres, él, ella, usted es, nosotros somos, vosotros, vosotras sois, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes son. Again, let's come back to the root of the verb tener. How do we conjugate tener? As I've already told you, in the present we have this conjugation of tener, which is an irregular verb, as tengo, tienes, tiene, tenemos, tenéis, and tienen. Yo tengo, tú tienes, él, ella, usted tiene, nosotros tenemos, vosotros o vosotras tenéis, and ellos, ellas, ustedes tienen. Another important verb which is irregular in Spanish is venir, which is to come, venir. And the conjugation of venir is yo vengo, tú vienes, él, ella, usted viene, nosotros venimos, vosotros venís, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes vienen. So the conjugation is vengo, vienes, viene, venimos, venís, and vienen. This is also an important verb, so please learn this before coming. Another important verb which is irregular in Spanish is venir, to come. So the conjugation of venir, to come, in Spanish becomes vengo, vienes, viene, venimos, venís, and vienen. But you can see that it is so much similar to the verb tener. Tengo, tienes, tiene, tenemos, tenéis, and tienen. So, vengo, vienes, viene, venimos, venís, and vienen. Yo vengo, tú vienes, él, ella, usted viene, nosotros venimos, vosotros venís, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes vienen. In the preterite tense, how do we conjugate these verbs which are irregular? We conjugate these verbs in the preterite like andar, anduve, anduviste, anduvo, anduvimos, anduvisteis, and anduvieron. So, the conjugation of a verb like caber in the preterite is cupe, cupiste, cupo, cupimos, cupisteis, and cupieron. Caber to fit is yo cupe, tú cupiste, él, ella, usted cupó, nosotros cupimos, vosotros cupisteis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes cupieron. Cupe, cupiste, cupó, cupimos, cupisteis, and cupieron. So it is very easy to learn this. Another verb which is important, and it is also the way it is conjugated, is dar, to give. Di, diste, dio, dimos, disteis, and dieron. Yo doy, it becomes yo di, tú diste, él, ella, usted dio, nosotros dimos, vosotros disteis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes dieron. So it is the very simple conjugation of dar is di, diste, dio, dimos, disteis, and dieron. You can see that it becomes very simple once you have memorized these rules. Of decir also, it is very easy because in preterite it becomes dije, dijiste, dijo, dijimos, dijisteis, and dijeron. So it is yo dije, tú dijiste, él, ella, usted dijo, nosotros dijimos, vosotros dijisteis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes dijeron. Dije, dijiste, dijo, dijimos, dijisteis, and dijeron. Another verb that I would like to talk about over here again is estar, which is to be. Remember, we have talked about ser and estar before also. Over here, we are going to see how estar is conjugated in the preterite. So, estar, to be, is estuve, estuviste, estuvo, estuvimos, estuvisteis, and estuvieron. So, it is yo estuve, tú estuviste, él, ella, usted estuvo, nosotros estuvimos, vosotros estuvisteis, and ellos, ellas, ustedes estuvieron. Hacer is another important verb, which is to do, to make. So, the conjugation of hacer in the preterite is yo hice, tú hiciste, él, ella, usted hizo, nosotros hicimos, vosotros hicisteis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes hicieron. So, all you have to do is to remember that in el, ella, and usted, it becomes hizo with a z, because you have to maintain the sound. That is why this diphthongization, which we had talked about earlier. So, hacer, the conjugation is yo hice, tú hiciste, él, ella, usted hizo, nosotros hicimos, vosotros hicisteis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes hicieron. Another verb, which is again I had said that it is important and it is irregular in all the tenses, is ir, which is to go. So, ir is conjugated in the preterite as yo fui, tú fuiste, él, ella, usted fue, nosotros fuimos, vosotros o vosotras fuisteis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes fueron. So, I repeat, fui, fuiste, fue, fuimos, fuisteis, fueron. All you have to do is to remember that ir is conjugated in this manner, which is fui, fuiste, fue, fuimos, fuisteis, fueron. You can see that there's a commonality even in the irregular verbs in the way that they are conjugated. So once you get to know, it becomes very easy to memorize all of them, whether they are regular or irregular, whether you're doing it in the present or in the past preterite or the imperfect. Another verb that I would like to talk about today is poder, to be able to. How do we do the conjugation of the verb poder in the preterite tense? In Spanish, we conjugate poder as yo pude, tú pudiste, él, ella, usted pudo, nosotros pudimos, vosotros pudisteis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes pudieron. I repeat, pude, pudiste, pudo, pudimos, pudisteis, and pudieron. Another verb that I would like to talk about over here is poner, to put. How do we do the conjugation of poner in the preterite? Well, we conjugate it in the following manner. Yo puse, tú pusiste, él, ella, usted puso, nosotros pusimos, vosotros pusisteis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes pusieron. I repeat, puse, pusiste, puso, pusimos, pusisteis, and pusieron. Another verb that is important in Spanish and it is irregular in the present and in the past is querer. How do you conjugate querer in the past preterite? Well, querer is conjugated in the following manner. Yo quise, tú quisiste, él, ella, usted quiso, nosotros quisimos, vosotros quisisteis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes quisieron. So, the conjugation of querer in the preterite tense is quise, quisiste, quiso, quisimos, quisisteis, and quisieron. It's very simple. Quise, quisiste, quiso, quisimos, quisisteis, and quisieron. Another verb which is also important in Spanish, which is to know, saber. So, the preterite tense of saber in Spanish is yo supe, tú supiste, él, ella, usted supo, nosotros supimos, vosotros supisteis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes supieron. So, the conjugation of saber in the preterite is supe, supiste, supo, supimos, supisteis, and superon. Another important verb that we've already mentioned before and should be learned alongside with estar, because estar also means the same, to be, is ser, which also means to be. The conjugation of ser in preterite is yo fui, tú fuiste, él, ella, usted fue, nosotros fuimos, vosotros fuisteis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes fueron. We've already talked about the verb tener before, and let us talk about tener again over here, which is to have. So, how do we conjugate tener in the preterite? Well, we conjugate it in the following manner. I will say yo tuve, tú tuviste, él, ella, usted tuvo, nosotros tuvimos, vosotros tuvisteis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes tuvieron. Tuve, tuviste, tuvo, tuvimos, tuvisteis, and tuvieron. It's as simple as that. Another verb which is to bring is traer. Traer, to bring. How do you translate it? How do you conjugate it? Well, we conjugate it in the following manner in the preterite tense. Yo traje, tú trajiste, él, ella, usted trajo, nosotros trajimos, vosotros trajisteis, ellos, ellas, and ustedes trajeron. I repeat, traje, trajiste, trajo, trajimos, trajisteis, and trajeron. Please take a printout of all these verbs and their conjugations and keep memorizing them because they are key to learning and speaking good Spanish. Another verb that I would like to talk about over here today is venir, which is to come. Yo vine, tú viniste, él, ella, usted vino, nosotros vinimos, vosotros vinisteis, ellos, ellas, ustedes vinieron. I repeat, vine, viniste, vino, vinimos, vinisteis, and vinieron. It is very easy because it is almost the same as all the other forms of verb which are conjugated in the same manner. Another verb which is irregular and in the preterite is conjugated in a different manner is ver, to see. Yo vi, tú viste, él, ella, usted vio, nosotros vimos, vosotros visteis, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes vieron. So it is vi, viste, vio, vimos, visteis, and vieron. It becomes very simple once you have learnt it, how to conjugate these verbs, because they become a part of your life and your communication. So it is vi, viste, vio, vimos, visteis, and vieron. Though irregular verbs are said to be not following any rules, they can be learnt by observing certain similarities in their patterns. For example, tener is conjugated as tengo, contener is also as contengo, retener is also retengo. So once you get the similarities or their patterns, it becomes very simple because there are some rules that even the irregular verbs are following in the pattern of conjugations. So venir like tener becomes vengo, salir like tengo becomes salgo, decir like tengo becomes digo, ser becomes soy, and ir becomes voy. All you have to do is to remember these and then follow the pattern that follow, and you will learn all these irregular verbs very easily. So, to conclude, I would like to stress the fact that Spanish verbs are fun to learn because they follow a set pattern of endings, whether they are regular or irregular. We will be having a look at different verbs and their different patterns in the coming modules, but in the meantime, please learn by heart all these verb conjugations and do the exercises that follow so that you can master them by becoming a master in by practicing all these verbs. Thank you.